Hey everyone, welcome back. We're on the 12th episode of the Brothers of Broad Street podcast. I'm here with Bryce Ellig. My name's Jim Croger. And before we get into anything tonight, we got Bryce's bets. Take it away, Bryce.
Feeling pretty good right now. I'm currently 29-15. We're still waiting on the A's outcome right now. Could win, could lose. We'll see, but that's still a pretty unbelievable record. I will say so. I got to give myself some credit here and there. I'm going to start out somewhere I went away for a little bit. I'm coming back to basketball, everybody. I'm coming back, did my study, watched the beginning series. If you saw last night, I did take the Clippers 4.5. That hit. But I'm actually going the opposite way. I'm going to take the Suns -1. And now hear me out. First off, I think the Suns should be given way more than -1. I understand that both games were close, and I get that, but I feel like the Suns going up 2-0 is a significant, it's like a dagger. And especially that game winner, the Clippers had the game won. Paul George came up short, missing both free throws at the end of the game. DeAndre Jordan or Ayton with a crazy game winner that never happens. And that was a crusher. That's a dagger early in a series. Also, I think Pat Beverly, like he always does, pushed the wrong person. He pushed the wrong, bull. He's got Devin Booker all fired up. He headbutted him last night or something. Dude was bleeding everywhere, and we're getting it, Jim, and we know how scary it is.
He was saying that Devin Booker ran into him.
No, that just didn't happen.
I know. I saw the video. It was Pat Bev 100% went into him.
You know how Pat Beverly is. He's just the most annoying player in the NBA. That's what he does. But
Don't mean to cut you off real quick. I got cut. Yo, are we seeing masked Devin
That's
Booker?
what I was getting into.
My bad.
This is scary because, as you know, guys, I am the biggest Devin Booker fan. I have been for a while. I'm very high on him. Him without a mask is scary. Him with a mask, we all know what happens. It's like something gets turned on. We've all seen LeBron, Kobe.
It's like the Dark Knight. It's like the Dark Knight.
It's like it's fuel to the fire. And I understand Chris Paul's out, but Cameron Payne has just stepped up to that role. He is just playing unbelievable basketball. He went from barely being in the league 2 years ago to all of a sudden being a key factor on this team. The Clippers still without Kawhi. It still hurts. I understand the Clippers, they are a significantly better team at home, but Terrence Mann is starting to cool off a little bit after that huge game. Morris is coming back down to earth. Reggie Jackson's still playing pretty good, but not good enough. And Zubac, I don't know what happened to him. I always thought he was a solid player, but he's proven he's not that guy. And
he's contributing more right now.
Yeah, you just look at it and he just stands no match. Ayton looks like, I saw a quote from, I forget who, a legit ESPN or a Twitter guy, something like that. And he tweeted that this is the closest he's seen to Akeem Olajuwon is DeAndre Ayton. Is that a reach? Absolutely. That's a huge reach. But I will say he's been playing great. I think the Suns should be giving at least 3 to 4, maybe even 4.5 points in this game. Them only giving 1 to me that's a huge change. I definitely think by the time the game starts, it will be at 2 at least 2.5. I think you got to take that now. That's a huge, that's a big game for me. I've been really studying the NBA. I've been feeling good about it, and that's my game for the NBA. Suns -1. Take a money line if you feel a little bit more comfortable with it, but -1 is good for sure. I'm a big fan of that. I like that a lot. Now I'm going back to the MLB, and I know people always say, Bryce, why? Why do you have so much faith in the Twins? And I don't know what it is, but when Jose Barajas gets on that mound, I feel comfortable. He's got a 7-2 record, and I know his ERA is a little high right now. It's at 3.5. He's coming off a bad start last week, but he's going against JC Valenja. He's 1-2 with a 6.11 ERA. Obviously not very good. The Indians are very hot and cold. They're currently doing pretty well. I'm not going to lie. They're 40-30, 31, and the Twins, they're the complete opposite. They're 31-42, but I'm riding with my guy. Jose's been good for me all year, and I just got to stay with it. I know Byron Buxton's out. I know Josh Donaldson is day-to-day. He might not play tomorrow, but I'm riding with him. I don't know. It's something about him. I got to stick with my guy. I know it's a scary pick. I get it, but I'm sticking with my guy. Nelson Cruz is hitting the ball great right now. He's got 16 home runs, 38 RBIs. He's got a 306 batting average. He's looking good, and I know
that man Nelson Cruz ages like fine wine. It seems like every year he's going to retire. He just keeps signing these 1-year deals. And
it's crazy, man. The Phillies could really use him, but that's besides the point. But yeah, I don't know why I'm feeling really, really good about them. They're just that team for me. Not that team. It's just he's that guy. Every year you ride that horse, you find somebody in the betting world that you like, and they don't disappoint you. And Jose Barajas, he's consistently been good for me, and I got to ride with him. I get it's tough. Big advantage though, and Jim, you know me. When it comes to baseball, I love the home dog. I love when the team is home. It's just my big thing. Makes me feel comfortable. Calms me down. Yeah, I'm got to roll with Jose. I know he's coming off a bad start, but that was his first one in a while. He's been really good. 7-2 record speaks for itself, especially on a bad team. I think I just got faith in him. I think he gets it done.
Yeah, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Definitely.
Exactly, man. I got to roll with him until he disappoints me. Tomorrow might be the day, but I got to roll with him until he disappoints me.
Listen, from personal experience, I got a call today from a certain somebody, and he's like, "Listen, I need help with the pick. You know, who you got?" And I said, "Why are you calling me?" I said, "You have to give my man Bryce a call, get his best bet take." And it turns out the pick worked. The man got his money. Bryce gave him a solid bet. If you guys haven't started listening to him yet, it's time to get on that train now, because this train isn't going to be around forever. It's not going to come back and forth like it has been.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for the people. I mean, it's just 100%. You don't get people like me. I'm just saying.
We're a people's podcast. You know what I mean?
No,
we're a people's podcast.
I actually saw. I was in a group chat and I sent a pick. I sent the pick to the boys. I sent it. You know, sometimes when they're good, I send them the pick a little early before you post it, just because when they're being nice to me. And some guy said, he's like, I don't know about this.
Doubted you.
Yeah, he doubted me. And then my boy, going to give him a shout out, Nick Mortella, big baller, said, "You don't ever doubt Bryce's best bets," and it hit. It was a winner.
When in doubt, never doubt Bryce's bets.
Yeah, I mean, it's like never say never. You just don't do it. It's something you don't do. You don't walk under a ladder. You just look at a black cat. You just do what I say.
Shame on the person who doubted you. Shame on that person.
It's crazy too. I tell people my record, and they're like, "That's all right," and I'm like, "That's a significant." It's a good record. I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to. I don't have to gas myself. I think the people know. I'm not.
It speaks for itself. It speaks for itself. You just let it stay, and once people start taking notice, you're just gonna, hey, I told you already. Where have you been? But
yeah,
no,
I helped that guy out big time today. He won a significant amount of money on a pick asking for me. Shout out him, especially. He was actually the guy we mentioned earlier in the podcast. He took the Nuggets -6 against the Suns. As you all remember, I was very against that pick.
That man's definitely had some history of some bad picks. He's also had some lucky ones.
Definitely not a good picker. Want to stay away from his picks.
Yeah.
Just want to put that out there.
I think at one point we'll have a surprise guest.
Yeah.
On the pod, get his.
We'll have him. We'll have him pick some games, and I'll give my opinions on it.
Okay.
But everybody, I want people to know, ride with me. If you have a game that I didn't take, let's just say I didn't take, I don't know, the Mets Braves game, and you want an opinion, feel free to give me a text, or just ask me. I will help you out.
Yeah.
I'm a man of the people. I'm trying to. I want everyone to win. I want everyone on my team to win.
Yeah, we're a lot more given on this podcast. We just give. Yeah.
I'm like Robin Hood. I give to the, steal from the rich, give to the poor.
Now to segue in, we're going to do one trivia question. For those of you who don't know, Bryce and I are going to start uploading more content along with the podcast. So Bryce is going to be doing his best bets. As you follow the Instagram account at the Brothers of Broad Street, you can also follow Bryce's account or my account. You'll notice Bryce posting more bets to give you guys an idea of what he's looking at for the day. I also, every Tuesday and Thursday night at 9:00, will be going on Facebook Live and doing trivia questions. We'll do about 5 or 6 trivia questions. It will be fun, get you guys engaged a little bit. But once again, follow the Brothers of Broad Street on Instagram if you haven't yet. Also subscribe on YouTube, or if you listen to podcasts on Apple, Spotify, anything, you can find us on there. The more support, the better, and we appreciate it so far. The trivia question for tonight, and this is going to lead into our conversation today, is the Phillies were at home today at Citizens Bank Park. The trivia question is, when did Citizens Bank Park open? What day and what year?
Best ballpark in baseball. I just want to point that out there.
The bank.
If you haven't been there, you got to go there.
Yeah, definitely have to check it out. I was there a couple of weeks ago. Loved it. Definitely have to go back sometime soon this summer. There's nothing like it.
Just brings joy to your heart that
There's nothing
stadium.
like it.
Yeah,
Summer game at the
there's
bank.
just nothing better.
Hopefully, I can return to the bank in the fall. Maybe you and I can go.
No,
Playoffs.
we'll be going in the playoffs. We'll be going. Maybe even the World Series. Hey, I'm not trying
Anything's
to.
possible. Anything's possible.
Anything's possible.
So once again, trivia question for tonight is: what day and what year did Citizens Bank Park, the Philadelphia Phillies home stadium, open? That's a trivia question for tonight. Now, to stick with that, the Phillies, Bryce, I gotta get your reaction after today's ball game.
Like, it's like the same old with the reaction, a couple days ago to the Sixers getting eliminated. It's just classic, typical Philadelphia sports. You're not that shocked by it. You just see it and you're like, oh, typical Phillies, losing a game that they easily had won. And it's a shame because it's like, the batting's finally getting going. Bryce is getting hot and he's back. And, it's crazy that even after a McCutcheon grand slam, I was at work, saw the Phillies bases loaded 5-5 and thought, Kutch is coming up. He's been hot. He's been hitting well. And boom, grand slam, 9-5. Thought the game was over. I really did. Even knowing the Phillies like to blow those leads. And I checked back 20 minutes later and they're down 11-9. And it makes me sick. It's the same story over and over again. And I listened after the game. I don't know if you saw John Kruk was, talking about the game and he ripped into the Phillies like announcers don't usually rip into.
That man always says the right thing. Always says the right thing.
That's why you got to love him. I mean, he was
Yeah.
talking as if it was us. It wasn't sugar. He wasn't sugarcoating. He said, this bullpen's still terrible. He said, first off, and this is the truth, Jim, I don't know about you, but I thought Girardi was the answer. I'm not saying it's very early saying he's not the answer yet, but so far in his tender to being the Phillies head coach, he hasn't done the job I believe he should be doing.
Right.
We brought him in strictly not to blow these games, to finish these games off, and he's not getting the job done right now.
Joe Girardi's record so far with being with the Phillies, he is currently 62 and 69. 62 wins and 69 losses. 7 games below 500. Like, that's just not going to cut it. And I get it. Girardi had very solid teams with the New York Yankees, but he was also a good manager. His bullpen was way better than it is now in Philadelphia, but he knew who to put in at the right times. It made it a lot easier having Rivera, the greatest closer of all time, having Chapman, having Andrew Miller, who was a stud and all-star closer. It does make it easier. But he also pushed the right buttons with the setup guys and when starters came out early. But something that I saw today, and we can no longer deny this, and this is where I'm a little bit nervous when it comes to like the Sixers or with the Eagles. Do you know what Gabe Kapler's record is with the San Francisco Giants since being manager?
I'm well aware, and I am not happy about it.
For all those who don't know, Gabe Kapler is now in his second season with the San Francisco Giants, manager of the team. Kapler's record is 77 and 57. He is currently 20 games above 500. Like, that's nothing to, I don't even know how to put it right now.
And especially
in the division that the Giants are in.
I was going to say, they're in an amazing division.
They are in such a talented division, and they're playing as well as they've been playing. I know the NL East is very talented too. You have the Braves, you have the Nationals pitching staff. The New York Mets have tons of talent with Francisco Lindor, Alonso.
Marlins, don't sleep on the Marlins. They've got some young talent there too.
Mets got DeGrom, and then you got the Marlins with up-and-coming prospects. But the Phillies division is nowhere near as tough as the San Francisco Giants division. And Kapler is performing at a way better rate than Girardi is. And it's not even like the Giants have better players than the Phillies. They really don't. They really don't.
My other big key to when it comes to our division is that it's going to happen, Jimmy. There's a reason why the Braves were ranked the second best team coming into this season. They just haven't reached that point. They haven't gotten hot yet, but I know for a fact it might happen after All-Star break, but they're going to get hot. They have 3 superstars on their team. Albies, Acuna, and Freddie Freeman are absolute superstars along with other good key.
Swanson can ball.
Play. I mean, Azuna, I don't know what's going on. I think he got into some trouble. I don't know how he's doing, but he can obviously play baseball. They're going to get hot. That team, I guarantee you, will get hot. And that's why it's important. Phillies need to win games like this. The Nationals aren't that great of a team. Yes, they have some talent here and there. I believe they'll be sellers at the trade deadline. They're going to be looking to get rid of guys like Max Scherzer and maybe Schwarber while he's hot, maybe even Josh Bell, because I just think they're kind of more into a rebuild stage. They want to build up for Juan Soto rather than bring in these older guys. I mean, Max Scherzer, obviously premier pitcher. You want to get rid of him now.
It's funny.
Marlon,
Sorry to cut you off, but that's what's so funny about sports, and that's why I love sports. The Washington Nationals just won a World Series 2 years ago, and now we're talking about how they're going to be sellers at the deadline. Isn't
yeah.
that crazy? Like, there's no such thing as consistency.
Oh, there's no, especially when it comes to baseball, it's very rare. That's why you got to appreciate teams like even though they're cheaters and whatever, but the Astros, the Dodgers, they've been consistently good over the last 5, 6 years, consistently going to World Series or barely losing in the World Series, and that's why back in the day, like the Yankees, man, they won every other World Series, and it's crazy. But I had this argument, or not even an argument. I was talking to some fellow diehard Yankees fans. Obviously, Yankees and Phillies, we have a weird relationship. We obviously both don't root for each other. It's kind of weird, you know what I mean? Especially growing up and where we're from, there's a lot of Yankees, a lot of Phillies fans. And I was talking to some Yankees fans, and I said, yeah, we were both talking like we should be having better seasons. But he said, especially, shout out Jimmy Rags, said, it's unbelievable to me that the Philadelphia Phillies are not winning. He said, you have amazing players in Bryce Harper and JT Realmuto. You have really solid players that Andrew McCutchen, man, he's proved this year after a really slow start, he can turn around. He's still got it. 13 home runs at this part of the season. If you would have told me Andrew McCutchen had that, I probably would have laughed at you, honestly. He's put hitting great. Reese Hoskins, we're both not huge fans of him. He's been playing really well. This team can hit. Our lineup's great. Gene Segura's an all-star, no doubt whatsoever. If you watch Phillies baseball, if you watch baseball, you know he's an all-star. Didi's
In
out
my
there.
opinion, he's the best hitter and possibly the best player overall on the team.
Yeah, that's not a stretch.
He does slack off a little bit in the field sometimes. He will jog off and on, but his average this season and how he's just been playing, stepping up. I mean, 2 walk-off hits. He's always showing up in the clutch. He's averaging 2 hits a game.
He gets on base, whether it's home runs or not, and he still has that home run power. I mean, I've seen him hit 430 plus home run, 430 feet plus home runs. That guy can hit. And Alec Boone obviously is not having the best season. He's still a very,
he's starting to come along today. He had 3 hits today.
Yeah, he's still an up and coming young guy. I mean, he's still getting used to the MLB. It's going to take 100, 200 at bats to really get used to this league. It's significantly different from Double A, Triple A. But it's the pitching, same old, same old. Like, I mean, Zach Wheeler, don't get me wrong. If Jacob deGrom isn't having the most unbelievable year we've seen out of a pitcher since probably Clayton Kershaw or Justin Verlander a couple of years back, we're talking Zach Wheeler is in. I mean, he to me second or third in the Cy Young in the NL. I mean, I get he's coming off.
He did have a bad day though. He did have a bad outing yesterday.
He did have a bad. He 1000% had a bad outing.
But that happens. That happens.
It happens. Yeah, it's going to happen. Guys
You're
aren't
gonna have 1 or 2 a year. You're going to have one of them.
Yeah, but he's been consistently unbelievable. First off, that's a signing, and Jim, you can agree with me as a Philadelphia fan, we haven't had a signing where we're like, bam, we nailed it, A+. He was an A+ signing, and there was a lot of doubts around him, but he's been.
Clentac got that right, especially for the price that he got it at. Now, remind you, there were other teams that wanted Zach Wheeler, i.e. the Chicago White Sox, who are another up-and-coming team with young talent. They were going to give the whole city of Chicago to Zach Wheeler, tons of money. Wheeler decided to take a pay cut, stay closer to home with the Phillies, and bringing him in, I think, was, if not the best, one of the best moves Clentac made as his tenure as the GM.
Honestly, it's one of the best moves the Phillies have made in over the past 10 years, and might be the best, honestly. Like, I mean, I know that sounds crazy, but he is literally a Cy Young type guy this season and has been for the Phillies since we gotten him. She's just very overshadowed because you got a guy like DeGrom and Scherzer in your division. You're not as talked about. Strasburg, when he's healthy, is a stud. You're not as talked about as much, but man, he's played great. But this is what I want to lead into as I go into that. I think we can agree, Jim. It's time. Aaron Nola needs to be moved to the second spot. He's not that guy. I mean, 3 years ago, however many, or 2 or 3 years ago, he had that unbelievable.
Yeah, he was top 3 in Cy Young voting.
We thought for sure this was it. He came off a bad year. We thought he could bounce back. He came off another iffy year, and now he's coming into another not so great year again for a guy that has a lot of talent, and he's still pretty young. I think he's only like 26, 27 years old. He's still got a lot of time to get better. But yeah, I think by the time All-Star break comes around, I think Joe Girardi needs to make a switch. I think Zach Wheeler should be our number 1. I think Aaron will be our number 2. I think he'll play a lot better at that number 2 role. I just don't think he's, I think you got to call a spade a spade. I mean, He's not. He should not be in the number one spot. He hasn't pitched well. Yes, he'll have a game where he goes 7 innings, strikes out 10 guys, and plays unbelievable. But then the next game he goes 3 innings and gives up 7 home runs. It's just it's inconsistent. Even when Zach Wheeler plays bad, he's still decently consistent. He's still not giving up 7 home runs. You know what I mean? When Aaron Nola is bad, he's bad. And
Another thing that was a little bit alarming is like, even in that first game, not the first game, I forget, with the Atlanta Braves, Nola was pitching so well. He had everything going, right? Then he walked 2 guys. Then Pablo Sandoval stepped up. Nola missed a bad pitch, or misplaced a pitch. Pablo Sandoval crushed it to tie up the game. I don't know if you remember that game, but
I remember it's mistakes like that. He's just
it's not
consistent.
like with Wheeler. Wheeler throws harder than Nola. Nola, he'll hit like 95, maybe 96, but he's consistently around like the 92, 93 area. So that's really not that fast. Wheeler's throwing 98, 99 consistently. So when you don't have that overpowering fastball, you have to locate all of your pitches. And when Nola's not locating, he's in trouble. He's flat out in trouble.
Because the
That's
issue
what's
is
going on with him right now, and that's where it's a little bit concerning.
another thing is Wheeler's a strikeout guy. I mean, he's looking to strike people out. Nola's more looking for ground outs. And listen, there's nothing wrong with that, but it makes it a lot harder. I mean, knowing Zach Wheeler can throw 100 miles per hour going into 6 and 7 innings, knowing Aaron Nola's only throwing 87, 88 mile per hour curveballs or 80 mile per hour knuckle curveballs, it's a difference. And when the hitters are seeing that, they see it. And that's what leads to a lot of mistakes. I don't think Zach Wheeler makes a lot of mistakes. I think that's what makes him so good. Nola makes those mistakes and he'll repeat those mistakes. And it's kind of shocking to me after 3 years, he's still making those little errors, like throwing a curveball right in the zone to a guy like Pablo Sandoval, who's looking for that pitch. He's looking to, he's sitting on that. He's looking to, Pablo Sandoval's not in there to hit a single.
Yeah.
He's in there to hit home runs.
He's up there for one reason. And I want to stick with the rotation, because when we first had a conversation about the Phillies on a couple episodes ago, my big thing was the rotation, pitching in general. I mean, when you look at the lineup, I'm never worried about the lineup. The lineup's going to get their hits. They're going to score their runs. Yes, you have off days, but everybody does. You can start to see, like you said, Bryce Harper's coming around. 2 home runs in the past 2 games, 1 bomb off of Scherzer. He had another bomb today. So he's hitting the ball. He's back. It's looking like he's healthy. Segura and Gregorius being out of the lineup still hurts. But once we get them back, our lineup will be at full strength. But for me, the starting rotation was a major issue because, listen, Matt Moore, I mean, he wasn't good years ago when he was just, you know what I mean?
He's like one of those MLB players that, like, after like 5 years, you're like, how is he still in the league?
It's and like, last year he played in the Japanese league, but he came back over on a deal. But that's not the lefty starter you need. In my opinion, you need a dominant lefty starter nowadays. I think so, to be a good team. Like, if you look at the Washington Nationals, before, like, their offseason, before they won the World Series, they had Scherzer, they had Strasburg, 2 monster pitchers, right? 2 beasts, 2 right-handed, hard-throwing arms. But they signed Patrick Corbin.
Mm-hmm.
And Patrick Corbin came in as their number 2 starter. So now you have righty and Scherzer, lefty and Corbin, righty and Strasburg. That's hard to beat because you're constantly switching up the location of the pitches, where the arm delivery, everything. And that's what I think propelled the Nationals. Also, the emergence of Juan Soto and the rest of the team just caught
Howie
fire.
Kendrick, like, literally caught the most fire I've ever seen a player catch fire.
Howie Kendrick was awful with us. He goes on, he's like playing better.
Grand slam against the Dodgers. He was like,
yeah. But that really helped the Nationals out, I think, signing Corbin. When you look at our team, we don't have a lefty like we used to. We don't have a Cole Hamels. We don't have a Cliff Lee. We don't have those go-to lefties that I think you still need nowadays. And I think that would really help the team out. You have Wheeler be your number 1, like you said. You get a lefty at 2, put him number 2 pitcher, and then move Nola to a 3rd. Because let's be honest, Nola's not pitching like a 1, and he's not really pitching like a 2 right now. He really isn't.
No, he's not. Then
you slide him back. He faces other teams' 3rd starter, which they'll be average, above average at best. And Nola, will start to put together some wins, maybe get his confidence back up. Another thing I got to ask you. Do you like Spencer Howard as a starter?
Um,
Do you see him as a starter for this team?
I want to see him be a starter. I do. Because at the end of the day, he's still young. I think he's only 23, 24, which is obviously it's a little older for a prospect to be getting called up. But baseball, like you said,
It's extremely young for a pitcher. Pitchers really don't get good till about 30.
I was gonna say,
older.
I was gonna say they don't get really, really good until they're like 30. Like they don't enter their prime until they're in like their 30s. But
Yeah.
he's a guy to me. I think he's in a boat, and the Phillies need to commit to something. Don't know whether they want to put him in the bullpen. They don't know whether they want to make him starter. Personally, I think he's shown more potential being a starter than he is a bullpen guy. I want to see him be a starter because I want to see. I like Eflin, I do, but I'd much rather have him as the fourth guy in a rotation rather than the third guy in a rotation. Like you said, if we could go out and get one more pitcher or something like that, or Spencer Howard would become that guy, this team will get significantly better. So I kind of want them to push him. It's the same thing. Have him start games against good teams. Like he started a game against the Dodgers and he was not bad. He left because of injury, I'm pretty sure, but in the beginning of that game, he was not bad at all, especially starting to a team like the Dodgers where every single batter on their team is a borderline all-star, if not like an MVP. It's impressive. It is.
I don't hold that against him, that appearance and anything, but another thing with like Nola doesn't have overpowering stuff. Spencer Howard shows flashes of it. I mean, this guy in the first, second, third inning, he's throwing 96, 97 miles per hour. And then he'll come in the fourth inning, and Bryce, he drops from like 97 to like 91. So that for me screams reliever. And a team that is really struggling with the bullpen, I would just say, yo, Spence, sit out in the bullpen the rest of the season. We'll bring you in sixth, seventh inning, and you'll pitch for 2 innings. You know what I mean? Like say if a starter has a bad day, say if a starter gets out in 5 innings, perfect. Bring Spencer Howard in, have him throw 6 and 7. Then you give the other bullpen relievers a rest. You know what I'm saying?
No, I agree. And I mean, either way, I think he needs to, for sure, stay in the MLB. That guy needs to just get at bats, whether he has success or doesn't have success. He needs to pitch multiple innings. He needs to get used, and he needs to pitch against good teams. And like, I mean, I like the decision of pitching him against a team like the Dodgers, not pitching him against a team like, I don't know, like the Texas Rangers or something. Pitch him against legit teams, and see how he is, get him adjusted, and he'll play better. And I see a lot of potential in him. Either decision they make, I think he'll have success. But I agree. I mean, that you bring up that point, it would be great to see him in the bullpen. But I do see. I think Girardi wants him to be a starter. I think he's more pushing him to be a starter because I think he knows logically that Zach Eflin's just not a number 3 in this league. He has potential. He does play well here and there, but he's definitely not a number 3. And I think he knows that the Vince Velasquez ordeal, that's got to come to an end soon. Even though Velasquez actually has pitched pretty decent this year, you got to give him credit where it's due. But yeah, I mean, it's time to definitely make some changes, and it starts with this bullpen. The hitting is there, and we've got some traits. I mean, I
That
don't
was
see.
never a concern for me. Yeah. Hitting has never been a concern. The
Yeah,
bullpen.
but the big thing is so. I mean, one big issue for the Phillies is that unfortunately we have a very weak farm system. We have not drafted very well. I mean, well, obviously we can get into it. Missing on a pick like Moniak, he's not going to look like he's going to be anything special if he can
Still
even.
very young. Still very young.
Still very young, but I mean, we've seen him
But
play.
if you pick a guy at 18 years old with the number 1 overall pick, I mean, you're expecting a Juan Soto. You're expecting a Bryce Harper.
And
You're
he's not going to be that guy. He's definitely not going to be that guy.
but he's not gonna. But that's what I'm saying. Like with those number 1 picks, you're expecting those guys to have maybe half a year to a year in the farm system, and then they're up and they're balling out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely reached that point where you really got to start to worry. I mean, he's been in. I mean, I think he was drafted in 2016 or 17. I want to say. I think 16. And obviously, yes, coming out of high school is you obviously have much more time than a guy that's played in college for 3+ years, 2+ years. But it comes to a point where it's been 2016 was 5 years ago, Jim. He should be playing in the MLB. He should be playing consistently. They called him up this year, and there's no ifs, ands, buts about it. He definitely played bad. He had a good games here and there, but they sent him back down. I currently don't know how he's doing. I know Bryson Scott, who's like our top guy next to, I forget the other guy's name, but he's been playing really well. I don't see them. I mean, they're pretty solid at shortstop with Didi for another 2 years. What stops you from trading a guy like Bryson Scott, who's got a lot of value for a top pitcher in the MLB?
So I have a trade proposal for you. Going off of what I said earlier with left-handed pitchers, because I think just to win in the World Series, I just do. I think you need a left-handed pitcher. When you look at other teams' bats around the league, like Freddie Freeman, he gets his against the Phillies. And part of the reason is he's always facing right-handers. So every breaking ball, every junk pitch is always going towards him, and he's just cranking them. But an interesting name that I thought of, yes, he's much older, but he did help these Red Sox win a World Series. He's currently injured, but he's making a return.
They're not doing it. I know who you're talking about, and they're not going to do it.
They should do it. And here's why I think they should do it. Dave Dombrowski was the general manager of that Red Sox team that won the World Series. He brought Chris Sale in. If I'm Dombrowski, I call the Red Sox. The Red Sox are having a very good season, but I don't think they're a World Series winning team right now. They have the young guys, and you never know. They might be sellers of Bogarts and Devers and JD Martinez. They might, you never know, because they might be able to get a haul of prospects. If I'm Dombrowski, I'd give them a call.
I don't know though. They're in the division lead right now in a good division, and
You see them winning the World Series?
see. So this is the thing about the MLB. You never know. It is all about the hot and cold teams. Like you just said only a couple minutes ago, the Nationals were not a World Series type team. You look at that roster and you're like, this really wasn't that great of a team. Great pitchers. Juan Soto was great, but they weren't an all-around great team. You got to really think they really weren't. And they were able to just pick up a ton of momentum and win the World Series. They weren't better than the Astros. They weren't better than the Dodgers, but they played better because they had all that momentum and they were able to carry that through. And the example I always use this example. This isn't probably the first time I brought this up, and it certainly won't be the last time we bring it up. The Kansas City Royals a couple years back were an absolutely phenomenal team. They remind me a lot like kind of the Dodgers. They had a bunch of all-star type players on their team.
Whit Merrifield?
No, not right now, but back in like no, I'm talking like Alex Gordon, Mike Moustakas,
Eric Hosmer.
Yeah, like Cides Escobar,
Lorenzo Cain. Yeah.
Salvador Perez. They were all great in their prime players, and that was a really, really, really good team. They played a New York Mets team who was bad. That team was not good. Daniel Murphy was just unbelievable. He hit a home run every at bat. They had great pitching, but DeGrom wasn't the pitcher he was then. He was good, but he wasn't then. No, Syndergaard is, he was probably all right, but he's still inconsistent. He's still no good Syndergaard. That team was not good. David Wright, I'm pretty sure, was their second best player, and he was well out of the prime of his career. And yeah, they got smoked in that World Series from what I remember, but it's just a perfect example. In baseball, a lot of the times, it's just the teams who make it, and they get hot.
I got it.
That's why I want to make the point. I think the Red Sox, you never know. They have
I respect that.
They could get hot. They could win the World Series, and they got crazy fans. They got good, we saw in 2013 when they won that World Series, they weren't that great of a team even then. They caught fire. They won a World Series, and Chris Sale, I think they got a lot of faith in them. The last time Chris Sale played, he was a Cy Young guy. He has been. He's dominant.
His delivery is insane. He throws so hard. To me, I never got to see Randy Johnson play, but his length and his delivery of his fastball.
He covers a lot of the mounds. He covers a lot of the mounds.
His stride basically cuts the distance from the mound and home plate in half.
I also think his delivery of how he just throws the ball throws off so many hitters because it's really funky. I've always been a big fan of him. I just have been.
He's dominant. He's flat out dominant. All right, so that good. I respect your point about that.
I just don't see the Red Sox trading him because I genuinely think they believe they have a shot at winning a World Series, and I don't blame them for thinking that.
Neither do I. I was just going off of the chemistry that Dombrowski has with the Red Sox organization. Kind of like, hey, I helped you out, you helped me.
There's plenty of examples where that happened.
Exactly. Yeah. So then that brings up the next question. You talked about Nationals. The Nationals have beat the Phillies the past two games. Scherzer pitched for them yesterday. They won 3-2. Close game up until the wire. Hoskins grounded out to end the game with the bases loaded, but he also had a great day yesterday. 2 for 5.
Yeah, you can't get on. Listen, we're the first people. We are the first people to get on Reese when he's playing bad, but he's had a really good season.
Minus the 0 for 39.
Yeah, no, but he has. You got to call it how it is. He's been hitting the ball really well, and
lately he has. But yeah, the 0 for 39 slump. I thought, oh my god.
No, but that's classic Reese. But he's been playing. He's been playing well, and he's been hitting well with runners in scoring position for the most part.
I've never seen a player get so hot and then get so cold.
So cold.
And then get so hot and then get so cold. He's not consistent.
It's funny, when I watch, I'll be watching ESPN and the announcers will be like, yeah, that Reese Hoskins, he's like a superstar. And I'm like, No, he's just not a superstar. You just don't watch enough like Phillies baseball to know he's just not a superstar.
Before I forget, I just got to rattle this question off. So playing the Nationals, you're playing the Nationals. I believe Corbin is still injured. I believe he is, but I don't know.
Still is, yeah.
The Nationals, once again, it doesn't look like they're going to win the World Series. I just don't think so. You talked about, they might be sellers at the deadline. Do you try to see if you could pull off a within the division trade and call for Patrick Corbin?
So
if he returns healthy.
if I think you're going to make it,
I want a lefty starter so bad. I think the Phillies need it. I think they're lacking it.
I think they do too. But I would, if they're going to go for somebody, why not go for Scherzer, man? Like, I mean, like I'm willing to drop Patrick Corbin. You might as well just go all in for Scherzer. It will be tough to make an interdivision trade. Teams do not like to do that, especially in the MLB. I don't really ever hear teams that are rivals trade with each other. But man, if you could get a guy like Scherzer, give up Scott, give up some assets, I think the Phillies are ready. You got that third guy.
I know, but like you said, the in the division trades are tough, and especially a guy like Scherzer, that's gonna be hard.
I heard he's the number one guy on the market. He's getting dealt.
He's probably got like 3 years left on his contract.
No, I think he's done after this year. He can opt out, which definitely will, because it's actually crazy. But remember when he signed and everyone was like, that is the craziest deal ever?
Too much money.
It's actually considered the biggest steal ever. I was watching like MLB reporters and MLB analysts like Tim Kurchin, like those type guys were saying that that's possibly the best contract in sports in MLB history.
Well, he won a Cy Young with the Tigers one year.
Yeah, but he's won 2 with them.
He's won 2 with the Nationals. He's also won a World Series.
And he was a huge part of that World Series.
It's a no-hitter.
2 no-hitters.
Yeah. So
he pitched a perfect game. That guy leaned into that pitch. That was BS. He pitched a perfect game. It was going to be a perfect game.
What did you think about Girardi checking his belt and his hat and his clothes yesterday?
I mean,
are you with this new rule of umpires checking the pitchers as they come off, or do you think that pitchers, like with baseball, someone made the analogy, batters are allowed to rub pine tar up and down their bat to get a grip on the ball. Pitchers should be allowed to have a grip on the ball.
No, because
forget that. I'm just saying I saw a tweet
significantly different from a guy gripping a bat to like hold on to it so it doesn't fly into the crowd or something like that, because it happens. I've been at games where the players have lost their bats and gone in stands. When a guy is throwing 99 miles per hour and he needs an advantage, that's ridiculous to me.
Yeah.
It's already hard enough to hit a baseball for them to get an advantage. And I think the biggest thing is showing is Garrett Cole has significantly been worse since this has happened.
All you Yankees fans, I would love to have Newt on right now to question him about that.
When he was on, I said he said something about like Garrett Cole's the best, and I said, well, he's a cheater.
Yeah.
And, it's very open about it, and who I really want to see, because I'm a fan of him and I want to see him Bauer, man.
You're gonna say it, dude. Trevor Bauer's pitching tonight.
I know he's pitching tonight, and I actually liked him. I was going to make it a Bryce's best bets, but Mookie and Cody were out, and I just with how hot the Padres are.
Cody really hasn't been playing a lot this year. What's going on with him?
I haven't heard much about him. Yeah, that team's been pretty hurt.
I know they've been banged up recently. I still think they're going to be in contention at the end.
I still think they could easily win the World Series.
Oh, I mean, their bench players are better than most teams right now.
It's just the type of team where it's like all they got to do is make the playoffs. It doesn't even matter where they're at. All they got to do is.
We were spoiled having Roy Halladay, Cliff Lee, Cole Hamels, Roy Oswalt, and Blanton was our fifth starter, and he wasn't even that bad.
Blanton was solid.
Yeah, we were spoiled with that rotation. When you look at that Los Angeles Dodgers rotation, they got Bauer, Kershaw, Buehler. Who's the other guy?
Julio Teheran or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
I forget.
No, Urias.
And also he's out and he's injured, and I actually love this kid, and I think he's going to be a stud. Dustin May is a stud. Unfortunately, he got injured this year.
Last year, that's what I want the Phillies to do with Spencer Howard. I'm not saying Spencer Howard's Dustin May, but they brought Dustin May up last year to start. He got shelled a couple times, had a couple decent outings. Now Dustin May's in the bullpen.
No, he started this year and he was good. I watched it.
They're moving him to the bullpen.
Yeah, they should. I mean, that kid's a stud.
That's what the Phillies should do with Spencer Howard. Come in quick, 1-2 innings, dominate, get out. That's Spencer Howard.
You'll see a couple years from now. Mark my words. I'm happy we film a podcast now, so I can mention it. Dustin May will be a free agent, and some team is going to pay him a ton of money just to be their star.
They're going to bring out the big trucks.
He is going to be a Cy Young type guy for sure. I'm actually going to guarantee it.
All right, so I got to ask you this question.
He's winning a Cy Young.
There it is. It's a big take right there.
It is a big take.
Is that a Bryce's best bet?
That's a best bet. That would be plus probably 5,000.
We weren't even doing this segment. This guy fired off a Bryce's bet.
I just am a big fan of him. I've watched him a lot, and I think he's a stud. Some team is going to pay him a lot of money one day.
Talking about Chris Sale, length, stride, Dustin May's long, real long.
Yeah, he's
throwing 99 miles per hour.
Dude, he's young, man. He's young.
Anyway, I want to go back to the Phillies real quick. And listen, the Phillies were up 4-0 today at one point. They lost that lead. Then they go up 9-5. They lose that lead again. Then they go up 12-11, and then they blow that lead. So, to me, they've had other games like that this season. And Bryce, yes, the offense is there. But overall, between Joe Girardi's managing ability right now, the bullpen, the starting rotation, I just don't see this team being a World Series contender as constructed. Do you?
No, and I agree with you 1,000%. They definitely something needs to be done for sure. It's just it's so crazy to me. It's like this team can have it. They just need to make some changes. Obviously, I think if the Phillies can stay where they're at, kind of at the 500 level, maybe a little bit over, maybe a little bit below, I think this division kind of stays where it's at until the All-Star break. But if you can get a guy like Craig Kimbrell, who we both have both been talking about, hopefully the Phillies can get without giving up too much, he's going to win us 10 to 15 more games than we should win. He gets the job done. He's been pitching absolutely phenomenal. He's been one of the best closers in the MLB over the last decade for a reason. You bring in a guy like that, I'm pretty sure I don't know if he's a lefty or a righty. I forget.
He's a righty. Remember he does the arm thing and the people fans are doing it? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's a stud. There's no ifs, ands, buts about it.
Cubs are playing well this year.
I know, but I heard they're going to make him out for a trade.
They should make that whole team out for a trade. You know the saying, get rid of him a year or two early, not a year or too late. All those players on that Cubs team, Anthony Rizzo, Baez, Kimbrell,
Ryan,
Contreras, they're pitchers that they got. If I were the Cubs, you can get a huge haul of top prospects for all those guys.
Yeah, they can go right back to having those number one picks and everyone talking about, instead of, like right now the team is I want to say, I don't even know what, I guess the Orioles got a lot of good prospects, or the Rays. The Rays have a ton of prospects.
Rays are so young.
Yeah, we saw Wander Franco. That kid's up next.
I saw something last year after the Rays were in the World Series that like their entire payroll was less than the Phillies bullpen was getting paid.
Try Giancarlo Stanton's probably making more than that whole team.
Yeah, it was like amazing to me, but
Moneyball.
Their success, it's wild. So you do not see, as constructed, you do not see the Phillies as a contender right now.
No, I don't. And they have one of two decisions, and it's like you just said when you brought up with the Cubs. The Phillies have a lot of really, really good players. Gene Segura is playing the best baseball he's ever played.
Crucial decision, and it's going to go against Dombrowski's grain because he's always a buy.
I know, but at the end of the day, I mean, the farm system's looking weak. If you can trade off a guy like Gene Segura, maybe even, I don't know how, if they want to go into a full-blown rebuild type thing. Obviously, I don't know if they make Harper available, but possibly JT, possibly Zach Wheeler. I mean, you got to. This team could go.
Those three guys you got to keep. To me personally,
I want to see him keep him. I want to see him keep him, but it matters. I mean, you either got to go one way really hard or the other way really hard. It's not going to be an in between. Like you pick up like a one little solid like closer. Like I mean, I don't think Craig Kimbrell could be the only move they make in the deadline. I think
it can't be. If they're going to be buyers, it can't be. But getting a true like bona fide closer will help the entire bullpen because I think Archie Bradley's solid. And I think he's a seventh inning guy, maybe setup man, maybe. But Hector Neris, as shown over the past couple seasons, he's not our closer. Yes, he has his moments, he has his spurts, but this is now the third blown save in a row. And at most, I would put him in the 8th inning. So I would have Archie at 7, Hector at 8, and if you get a guy like Kimbrel's your 9th inning guy. But they got to make a move. Like you're right, and it's not just one move. They got to make multiple moves. But
No, yeah, they got to make a ton of moves. They got to get. I mean, they got maybe a guy like Nelson Cruz. You can get him. I don't know, somebody you could put at first base. I don't.
I would, but is Nelson playing first base or DHing more? He's usually DHing more.
He's usually DHing, which he can't play the field. That's for sure.
How about the Dodgers signing Albert Pujols, and now he's having a great season with the Dodgers?
I mean, Albert Pujols is still solid, man. I was saying, I think it was just because
Angels were just never a fit.
Yeah, I think Jared Walsh was the reason why he left. That guy's having like an unreal year out of nowhere, and he forced him out. And obviously, like Otani's unreal.
Oh my gosh, our generation, Babe Ruth.
That yeah, for sure. I mean, that's a team that I'd be really furious with. Like, how are the Angels not like unreal?
They just never, kind of like with us, we just don't develop prospects well. The Angels really don't develop prospects well.
I know, but they got Rendon, they got Trout.
But that's the thing though. They don't get the prospects grown and developed at the right time. And then when they think, because now Trout's obviously in the prime of his career, and then when they think that they're ready to win a World Series, they go all out and spend. I mean, if you remember, they handed that huge contract to Josh Hamilton years ago. Remember Josh Hamilton? They handed a huge contract to him. They also handed a huge contract to, oh my gosh, who was the pitcher that they signed with Albert Pujols? Remember they signed Albert Pujols to the 10-year, $250 million.
I think it was what's his name, Wilson.
C.J. Wilson.
C.J. Wilson, yeah.
C.J. Wilson. Yeah, they signed C.J. Wilson to it from the Rangers. They signed him to a huge deal. He never panned out. And now Rendon, obviously, in my opinion, best third baseman in the league.
Wow. That's a hot take. That is a very hot take.
He just won the World Series.
I mean, does Nolan Arenado not exist?
Yo, Rendon is good.
I know he's good. I like him a lot. I think he's like a top 3 guy. I think number 1 was that. I think you just let that pass by. I think you just said that and you didn't think about it.
I'm sticking with my gut. I think when you look at the organizations that Rendon has played for too, you go to the Nationals, they're not really a big time organization. They ended up winning the World Series and putting the world on mat, or putting the world on notice. But now he's with the Angels. We don't really hear too much about him over here on the East Coast. But Nolan Arenado is a stud, don't get me wrong. But I think Rendon has a more consistent bat.
I guess Alec Boone doesn't exist, Jim.
Alec Boone?
Yeah, I guess he doesn't exist.
No, for me, like we said on earlier podcasts, Dombrowski's got to make a decision, buy or sell. I think it goes against the grain selling. So I think as long as the Phillies kind of stay where they're at right now, I think they will be buyers. I think they will make a couple moves. But when you look around the Phillies team, there's just like with Simmons, there's no value now to trade Ben Simmons. There's not much value on this Phillies roster for anybody to trade. You can't trade Gregorius right now because he's been hurt the whole season.
You could trade Gene to a team.
Well, I was about to say the only players that I think right now that you could trade, if McCutchen continues his hot streak, you could probably get him out for cheap. And
honestly, I would like to see him move. Not because I love Kutch, but
he's old.
And if you could get a decent prospect,
you get a mid-tier pitcher, why not unload his salary? And the other player, Odubel, was playing really well for so long. I think you could probably trade him.
No, not my guy. Not my guy.
Odubel and Gene have been solid for us all year.
I told you, dude. I told you. It was like the first episode. We needed to call him up. He could.
Oh my God, no! I was with it. I said the second he came up, he wasn't losing his starting position.
Yeah, no, he's good, man. He's a good player. He's just crazy.
The Phillies definitely have some big decisions to make. Now, let me tell you this. Last question before we go here. If the Phillies do not make the playoffs this year, will Joe Girardi be back as the Phillies manager next year?
It's tough, but I believe depending on how bad the season ends, I could see him definitely getting fired. In my opinion, I would probably keep him. I don't know why. I just have faith in Joe Girardi deep down inside of me. It's a weird hunch. I think he can get the job done.
So do you think the issue with this team is Girardi's managing, or do you think it's how the roster is built, i.e. the bullpen and
I think it's the bullpen. I think it's definitely the bullpen. Don't get me wrong. I think he's made his mistakes here and there, but I think Joe Girardi.
Here's Bryce. Real quick.
I think Joe Girardi makes people want to come play for the Phillies. I think he's a guy that people want to play for, rather than. I don't think Gabe Kapler is necessarily a guy teams wanted to play for. Yes, I get he's having success. Yes, I know he's having success now, but San Fran's also one of those teams, man. They're always like, since we've been
top to bottom, their organization is very strong.
Yeah, whoever's running their organization, they do a very, very good job.
I can't pronounce his name, but they just hired somebody to be a general manager. Zahiri, I forget. I can't pronounce this.
Yeah, I saw that too. But whatever they do, they get the job done.
So here's where I struggle with Girardi, and I think if the Phillies don't make the postseason this year, I think Girardi gets the boot. I think he gets fired. Listen, David Hale, ever since he's been with the Phillies, has not been a good reliever. I don't think he's had a good outing. I don't think he's had a good outing one time since he stepped on that mound. He comes in today. He lets up that 2-run single, and then a couple pitches later, he lets up that grand slam to Josh Bell. So, like, why is he getting time? You know what I mean? Why has he not been sent back down or worked on or even traded to get some guy? Like, I don't get why he's still coming in this game. And next thing, I don't get why you keep bringing Neris in ninth inning games when he keeps blowing saves. I like Neris. I think he's got potential to be a good reliever, but I think he's not a closer. And like I said to you earlier on the show, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Well, the Phillies bullpen is broke. They need to fix it. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Who do you call as a manager, potential manager next year? Like, is there anybody out there at this point?
No, there's just really not.
And honestly, if you do let Girardi walk, we're talking about players loving to play for Girardi. Who would want to manage the Philadelphia Phillies?
But now I also want to say, I think if you fire Girardi, I don't think Bryce Harper is going to want to stick around.
Okay.
A guy in the prime of his career who's been playing really, really well, healthy. When he's healthy, he plays really, really well. I mean, if you're Bryce Harper, why would you want to stick around?
If you're Joel Embiid, why would you want to stick around?
Listen, Jim, we can all agree right now. I don't think any Philadelphia team besides I think the Eagles have something nice going a little bit with their rebuild. I think they're making it. No, I mean, obviously Hurts is to be determined, but I think they had a good draft.
Yeah, outside Devontae Smith, I'm very excited to watch play.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like they'll be like an exciting rebuild, similar to how like the Dolphins were. I don't think they'll be great.
The Phillies right now are our only hope for some success.
No, yeah, that's what I mean though. Like I hate where the Sixers are at. I hate that this is like I hate where everything. I hate
turmoil right now.
I hate everything where the Sixers are at, and I mean the Flyers. I don't know what's good with them. I mean, I think they'll have a good year next year. I think it was just one of those.
Carter Hart just struggled. The defense wasn't really hitting in rhythm. They weren't, on the same page at all. I think they'll be back.
Yeah, no, I think they'll be back too. But yeah, and the Phillies are they're similar. They're definitely similar to me. They're just in a really tough spot, and I just don't know what they're gonna do.
I actually asked this trivia question last night on my Facebook Live, and I want to see if you know the answer to it. How many years did the Phillies play? How many seasons did the Phillies play before they won their first World Series championship?
So they won their first one in 1980.
Yep.
Against the Royals.
Yep.
How
many years did it take them to win that title?
I want to say like 76. Is that right?
77.
Oh, dude, what? I almost had it. Yeah, I mean, I know they're the most losing franchise in baseball history by like a significant amount. I know the Pirates are second, but I know the Phillies are first by like a significant amount.
When I saw that trivia question, I'm like, oh my gosh, 77 years. And then, I mean, it took us 28 until they won their next one with that roster. But
yeah,
I look at that roster with the bullpen and the thing. I'm like, this could be a while.
No, the thing that scares me the most is the fact that the farm system's very mediocre.
Oh, It's
We have one guy in the top 100, and I don't even know if Bryson Scott's in the top 100 prospects anymore. I really
he
don't.
is. Right now he was to start the season.
Yeah, but like it's scary to me. Like the Boston Red Sox, the Rays, they have like 7 guys in the top 100. The Marlins have a ton of guys.
The rich keep getting richer, and right now the Phillies, it's just not.
I think Jim, I wouldn't mind if I saw this team rebuild. That's all I'm going to say. Like that's my point. I wouldn't mind if I saw a rebuild.
Well, that's what I was kind of getting at, like when we were talking about with the, um, Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid pairing and stuff like that. It's not like Joel Embiid has 10 years left of his career. He doesn't. Three,
3, maybe.
maybe. And then with Bryce Harper, like Bryce Harper already has a lot of injuries now as a 28-year-old, 27-year-old player. Do we think he's just going to be hanging around for 10 years at the top of his game? No.
What I was going to say, I really think about it, and I know this is crazy, and I don't want to see him get traded because he's my favorite player. But man, you could get a lot for Bryce Harper.
They're not going to trade him.
I'm just making a point.
I know, but the city of Philadelphia, with Bryce Harper, they got to make a decision because you can't waste. For me, it's Harper, Real Muto, and Wheeler. Those are our big 3, and you have those guys for at least the next 3 years locked up. You have to make the decision come July, come the trade deadline. Are we buying or are we selling? Starting this thing from scrap with the 3 monsters and just seeing where it goes, because you have a small window. I mean, look at the Nationals now. They won the World Series. Now they're where they're at. They're going to be selling.
No, I think that team's in a great position.
So it's crazy. They gotta make a decision. And Girardi, I don't think is managing as good as we wanted him to.
We anticipated him to do much better.
We give him a break with the bullpen. Every Philadelphia Phillies fan knows that the bullpen is really shaky, not good at all. The rotation, there's no standouts outside of Wheeler right now. But we expected Girardi to be an improvement from Kapler. And as the stats have shown and the records have shown, he's been the complete opposite.
So, yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see how the rest of this season goes. Once again, go ahead.
Quick note. Hawks won.
Bryce, I told you this on the last episode.
Trae Young dropped 48 points.
The dude's a stud.
Wow.
They're scary. And like they caught fire. To me, they're the Miami Heat of last year. They caught fire at the right time.
No, the Bucks will handle business. They'll handle business. They'll beat them.
The Bucks can't guard that pick and roll that Trae Young was running.
The Hawks will handle business. Trust me.
The Hawks are the Bucks.
Bogdanovich 4 points and Trae Young still. Oh my God.
What did Herter get?
13. Trae Young had 48. John Collins had 23 and 15 rebounds. Clint Capella had 12 points, 19 rebounds.
I watched John Collins play. I never got to see Dennis Rodman play other than highlights in the Last Dance documentary. He's got that mentality, like that in your face. I'm getting this rebound. John Collins is a hard.
No, I've always said he was a very slept on player. He's gonna listen. He's balling out at the right time because I'm pretty sure he's gonna be like some sort of free agent or something. So I know they'll have like a. I think
this season.
Yeah, it's weird. He's on some sort of weird. I saw some weird thing where he
restricted free agent.
Yeah, so I think they're gonna have to pay him.
All right. Well, we're running out of time right now. Go ahead.
Sneaky team, those Hawks, man. They're gonna be good for years to come.
Oh, they're building a good foundation right now. And Trae Young, absolute stud. That's a good question for next time. Who won that deal, Luka or Trae, Dallas or Atlanta? But we'll save that for next episode. Bryce, thank you for coming on. Once again, guys, if you haven't already, follow the Brothers of Broad Street on Instagram.
You'll get to see Bryce's best bets there throughout the week, even when we don't
get all of Bryce's best bets throughout the week. They upload each day. Also, if you haven't yet, subscribe to the podcast. We're on Apple, Spotify, YouTube. If you use any other platform, we're on that too. We thank you guys for the support. If you want to come on, reach out to us.
Big guest coming. Like massive.
We keep saying this, but it's for the build up, and we won't let you
guys down. We can't give it to you guys early. You know,
we won't let you guys down. But yeah, Bryce, great episode. Good work today. And we will be back on later this week.
Go Birds.
Go Birds. See you guys.